Lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer death in the United States and worldwide. A pulmonologist from Sanford Health in Sioux Falls is working to educate Siouxlanders on the importance of lung health. Cancer rates in the state of Iowa are rising. Iowa has the second highest cancer rate in the United States. That's according to the latest Cancer in Iowa report. That report also shows that lung cancer is one of the most preventative and prevalent in the state. Sioux City native Dr. Paul Berger, a pulmonologist at Sanford Health in Sioux Falls, says early testing is key to catching lung and other pulmonary cancers before they reach those severe stages.
The mortality rate is improving, but that improvement comes with smoking cessation, and it also comes with early diagnosis. And so the sooner that we can identify those patients, the better off the patient will be in the long run, and the fewer broken hearts of patients and their families from the potential downstream effect of having a diagnosis that is truly evil of cancer.
Sanford Health, which is based in Sioux Falls, as we have mentioned, does have a clinic in Dakota Dunes, South Dakota. Dr. Berger says they're planning to expand more into Siouxland to bring in additional healthcare options.
Sanford Health is looking to extend what they have to offer from a specialty clinic standpoint, and we'll be working out of the Dakota Dunes, South Dakota clinic with plans to build and open a new specialty clinic not too far away from where they're currently located in the Dakota Dunes. So we'll be able to offer more healthcare options for friends, family, and patients in the Sioux City area.
And we have the address for the clinic in Dakota Dunes inside the story. You can find it on KTIV.com.